After posting some gameplay from the initial beta of Command & Conquer Tiberium Alliance, which was the web browser game that's just come out, I think currently still in beta, I wanted to really go back and do a proper review. I don't really think I got across what I actually thought of the game before, so I wanted to just go back through and really talk about my thoughts on the game, you know, where it hits and misses. So kind of think of this as a vlog review-esque thing. Anyway, onto the game now. The game, as a browser game, following the free-to-play model, if you really want to get anywhere in the game, you have to buy stuff. I'm kind of sick of this model, but unfortunately it makes money, so publishers will endeavour to carry on doing it. So, where does this work with the Command & Conquer license? It really doesn't, and I think that's my main problem with the game. The fact that, although it's a perfectly good game, really, as browser games go, it really just feels like Plants vs Zombies with tanks. Although it does have a nice little base kind of construction thing going on top of it, you could really swap out the Command & Conquer license for any other license and you get away with it. The vehicles in the game don't resemble anything that I'm familiar with the Command & Conquer history, and I've been playing the game since the originals. I suppose that's where the whole lawsuit thing has come with the vehicles in the game looking like Warhammer tanks, and you know, the game might have actually started out at some point as a Warhammer game and they've just swapped the license out. It wouldn't be the first time that game publishers have tried to do that, but really don't look at it as a Command & Conquer game. That license is going to bring in a lot of fans to the series, and it's probably why they've done it as a marketing strategy, but the game inherently is not a Command & Conquer game at heart. So look at it for what it is. It's a semi-tactical browser game, really, which is disappointing. Although I will hand it to you, it does look like Command & Conquer. The base building looks like Command & Conquer. The music feels like Command & Conquer, which is good, and it, you know, the HUD of the game looks pretty well, you know, based off Command & Conquer stuff. The combat side of it, there's no tactics to it. I mentioned Plants vs Zombies earlier, and really that's what it feels like for the most part of the game, which is kind of disappointing. You kind of just lay your troops out in waves and they go down the path, getting, you know, passing through obstacles, either water, dirt, marshes, fallen trees, to where the bases are, and you shoot, they get carried off, and you rinse and repeat 2 or 3 minutes later. It doesn't seem too bad at first, but it really gets boring after a while. It's something I'm hoping they'll improve on, because it's not that bad, but I think it's a kind of letdown for when you think of something like Command & Conquer and you do think of something with a bit more quality and polish to it, and a lot more fun, and most importantly strategy. You know, the game is an RTS series, and really this lets it down from something that could have been so much more. Mostly I would have liked to have seen all the tanks that I'm used to. They could have even knocked a story into this. There's no story whatsoever in this, and that's kind of disappointing, because I mean, yes, you didn't have to have actors, and you know, the absolutely wonderful cutscenes that they filmed over the years for the Command & Conquer games, they are hilariously awful, but in that great way. And this really should play this up, even with, you know, you could get little cheap B-movie actors to film parts, or you could just have stills and a ridiculous storyline, but there's none of that there, and that's part of the charm of Command & Conquer as well, and it really misses that. Something probably the fans are going to find that makes this game just not seem like a Command & Conquer game. I know I'm repeating myself by saying that, but that really is the case. So overall, summing up, I think we're going to have to say that this game is just below par on what you'd expect from a Command & Conquer game, but judging it as a game, as a browser game, it's not bad, it's not brilliant, and it's nothing that's either groundbreaking or hasn't been done, several times over by various other games. If you like the look of it, then you know, it's going to draw in older gamers and boys, because it has a nice gritty look to it, and it does have that Command & Conquer look, which is something, and that will maintain the fans for a while. Whether or not you'll want to stick with it or not to actually buy things in the game, I find it very doubtful. But as a random player who's just stumbled onto this, you've seen an advert or whatever you want, you just want to try the game, you're going to be a little disappointed, and really there are other games to choose out there for whatever it is. While this mixes the kind of Plants vs Zombies kind of combat as well as the base building and structural resource management side, and it does actually mix them together quite nicely. The problem is that it still leaves you kind of wanting more. You know, it's average, it's a 5 out of 10 really. Browser games improve, which is the great thing about them, so there's no reason why it can't get better over time. And as I said, I took this from the beta version, so there are going to be changes that are made, and I can only hope they come sooner rather than later, and that it makes it worthy of the Command & Conquer name.